Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. I am the founder and the spiritual director. Now, as you are sitting there joining us, you may have questions, any number of questions, such as, who am I? How did I get here? Spiritually integrated arts means what exactly? What is a teaching center? Well, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is that? What does that even mean? Or New Thought, or religious science, or science of mind and spirit? You may have any number of questions about this specific community, about the parent organization, CSL, our philosophy, our teaching, our liberation theology. Any number of questions. Feel free to send an email. We look forward to connecting more and building our virtual community, our global community. And if you haven't connected yet on social media, feel free to do so. This is your invitation now. Also, did you know that all of our Sunday messages are archived on our YouTube channel? You can watch it anytime. Now, questions about anything, such as becoming a member. What does that mean? What does membership entail? And if you live somewhere far and already belong to a spiritual community, can you be a member of more than one? The simple answer is yes, you can. Just like you can shop at more than one grocery store, you can attend or be a member of more than one gym. We are building beloved community. So you can do both. You can be a member of both. You can be involved with both. That's what being in spiritual community means. So we welcome you. We invite you. We are so appreciative that you have found this community and that you have joined us today. We bless you. We love you. We welcome you. Live long and prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our Sunday message. Love you. Connect with you soon. Blessings. Namaste and greetings. Welcome to July 14th, leaning into imperfection. Yes, we are talking more about that amazing thing called not being perfect, that thing that we do our best to avoid because of perfectionism being the ideal vision and goal, and yet perfectionism is often deeply rooted in error thinking, in the consciousness of that which is non life affirming. So, yes, this week we dive even deeper and go further into the concept of what it means to embrace. Embrace the energy, the concept, and the practice of imperfection. Because what it is, or what it can be, if we allow it to be, a transformative shift in our perspective, in our paradigms, in our way of living this thing called life. So today we're going to excavate a little bit more and explore this profound concept that, when broken open, avails greater possibilities in how we shift our perspective and our practices, in how we become greater in our recognition and awareness that everything in existence, including what we perceive as our flaws, is at its core, at its root, perfect. Now, that does not mean that the condition, the experience, is experienced as perfect. In other words, as I believe I mentioned last week, Oppenheimer, the bomb that he created or facilitated the creation of, what the bombs were used for, bombs themselves, but what the bombs were used for, not perfect, because it was heinous. It was about as non life affirming as one could be. Yet, the science back of it, the spirit back of it, the truth back of it, when you go to that which is infinite and absolute, there's perfection. Now, our invitation is using that, accessing that, living that in a way that greatly reduces any further harm that we may participate in or cause. Breathe. So this week, by leaning into imperfection, we open ourselves up to newer and greater possibilities. We discover a greater sense of acceptance and appreciation, not only for ourselves, but for others. And in this way, embracing, allowing, accepting, practicing imperfection allows us to cultivate deeper self-worth, self-love, self-acceptance, etc. And it deepens and more greatly fortifies our connection, not simply with spirit, but as spirit, that divine presence that is not only within us, but it is around us, and it is showing up in, through, and as us. Didn't think imperfection could do all that, did you? So Georgette says, just because you make a mistake doesn't mean you are a mistake. And therein lies one of the core reasons why perfectionism, the toxic idea of perfectionism, it's rooted in this. It's rooted in the idea that if I am not perfect in my practice, in my expression, and I make mistakes, then it means I, in some way, shape, or form, I am a mistake because we identify who and what we are by what we do. This is why in many parties or business gatherings or social gatherings, people will say, "What do you do for a living?" "I am a lawyer." "I'm a doctor." "I'm a housewife." "I'm a stay-at-home dad," etc. I am the, etc. We identify what we are by what we do. So when we make mistakes, we say, I am a failure. I am horrible at math. I am horrible at science. I am a horrible father. I am a horrible or terrible or fill in the blank teacher, minister, interpreter, person. So herein lies a very core idea that we want to erode, eradicate, eliminate, and make extinct. When you make a mistake, and you will, it does not mean you are a mistake. This is why Bob Ross reminds us we don't make mistakes. We have happy, and I believe it many times he said, we have happy little accidents. Because for him, the idea was when you're painting, sometimes it's not going to be what you thought the intention. That tree didn't, it's not a mistake. It's a happy accident. In other words, it's an opportunity. In the creative realm, it's an opportunity. So we don't make mistakes. Now, for linguistic convenience, fine. We make mistakes, but they are not so profound that we cannot continue to thrive and grow and evolve because those mistakes are more like happy accidents that we recover from, that we evolve from, that we transcend and rise from. So once again, the invitation is to shift and yield into, as Sean Tan says, the more I draw and write, the more I realize that accidents are a necessary part of any creative act, much more so than logic or wisdom. Sometimes a mistake is the only way of arriving at an original concept. And the history of successful inventions is full of mishaps, mistakes, serendipity, and unintended actions and results. Now, I'm going to let you marinate on this for a moment. We are creation itself, incarnating in, through, and as us. We are the very embodiment of the creative act of the universe. Everything we do has creation built into it. When we speak, I can use these words to make a request. I can use these words to create a poem, a song. I can paint and draw or dance. I can cook and create a meal that has never been made before using all kinds of ingredients that people didn't think went together. Conversations are creative acts. Making love is a creative act. Whether there's offspring or not, doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with the creative act. It is the activity of connecting, of joining, of being one with another in conversation, in relationship, in community, etc. Are you willing to engage in accidents, mishaps? Are you willing to expand into the energy of serendipity or what we call coincidence, where we may make mistakes, but once again, we do not judge, criticize, or shame ourselves for them. We will release the idea of quote unquote, it's my fault. We will take accountability and responsibility and do what we are invited to do. But when we say it's all my fault, we are accepting a different level of blame and shame and guilt. Now, I'm not saying if you do something in error, have no remorse. I'm saying feel it and then act upon it so that your actions speak louder and more healing than the activity that you are saying was erroneous in the first place. Let your oops be an opportunity to evolve. When you see this, as many people do, there's this idea that the people there are there for a reason. But what is that reason? Why are there people in jail? Why do people go to jail, are sent to jail, or why? Now, it's very easy and very often that someone will say, because they did something wrong, meaning they broke the law. They did something wrong. They are now convicts. They are convicted to prison as a result of their wrongdoings. Yes, to a degree, they broke the law. But what are we doing with them while they're there? Are we taking the oops and making it an opportunity for them to heal, to be rehabilitated, to be reintegrated into society as successful and healthy members of the beloved community? Or are we furthering the idea that because you made a mistake, you are a mistake? Because you broke the law, you are a lawbreaker and you deserve to be warehoused? In a world that works for all, what are we invited to do with jails and prisons and penitentiaries? What are we invited to do with those people who are in them? Is there a more humane and compassionate way to treat people who do something wrong and break the law? Especially when we have this gentleman, Congressman John Lewis. We know who this man is, and yet he was arrested 40 times for breaking the law. But not only him. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. went to jail 29 times. What did they do wrong? What was their mistake? Now let this really sink in. What was their mistake? What was the wrong that they engaged in that resulted in them being placed in jail? As Dr. King says, there are some instances when a law is just on its face, but unjust in its application. In other words, there are times when one must break the law, when the law is a non-life affirming, inequitable, unjust, inhumane law. And yet, those who are bound by the shackles of perfectionism, what tends to happen is go with the flow, go with the crowd, be like everybody else. We must learn that passively to accept an unjust system is to cooperate with that system. Perfectionism would have us cooperate with the laws of the status quo. Perfectionism says, I'm supposed to sit in the back of the bus. I'm going to sit in the back of the bus. I can't do anything wrong. And thereby to become participant in its evil. Are we willing to relinquish the reins, relinquish the chains, relinquish the shackles of perfectionism in order to deconstruct various systems of thought, various systems of practice and oppression, and more, in order to then, coming from the perfection of our being, reconstruct, newly construct systems of thought, consciousness, practice, and application that demonstrate a world that works for all. Are we willing to do that? Because it means we have to sacrifice some stuff. My remix of this is we must learn that passive acceptance of any unjust and inequitable systems that are created by error thinking and false ideas aligned with non-life affirming mental equivalent is metaphysical malpractice. It is spiritual bypass. And it is evidence of our complicity and cooperation with those systems, and thereby to become a participant of its evil. When we engage in metaphysical malpractice, spiritual bypass, and more, we are engaging in, whether consciously or not, we are engaging in the status quo, the collective consciousness, which currently is not that of a world that works for all. So when we experience the unjust, the inequitable, the error thinking, and the false ideas being expressed, what is ours to do? How do we tap into being whole, perfect, and complete, knowing we will make mistakes? There are mistakes that Dr. King made and where he went and when he went, and mistakes that Malcolm X made, and mistakes that there are mistakes. And yet, we still keep our eyes on the prize, a world that works for all. And we think and speak and feel and act accordingly. Can you imagine, and I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of Tibetan sand paintings, where they use various colored sands to create a mandala. But the idea of this is to emphasize impermanence. And to a degree, that idea of impermanence says that that thing that we want to identify and be latched on to, perfectionism, is a fleeting thing. And so we are invited to do what we do, tap and let the sands of our consciousness fall into place, into the beautiful tapestry of our lives, willing to sweep it all up harmoniously and divinely in the flow, to simply do it again. So you sang and you hit the quote unquote wrong note. Sweep it up, remove it, and start again. You were late for a meeting or late to court. Rather than stand in the space of guilt and shame and blame and sweep it up. Use that energy for something else and act accordingly. Because if we are unwilling to really get into the space of making mistakes, happy little accidents, then we are not going to be able to fully engage in the creative process of creating a world that works for all, or even a world that works for us. Dr. Holmes invites uniformity, unity, and uniformity are not the same thing. No two blades of grass are alike. No two snowflakes are alike. No two fingerprints are alike. What does it mean spiritually? It means that incarnated within us and as us, each one of us is not only a divine spark, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, not only an incarnation of the living spirit of the cosmos, but a unique presentation or representation of the cosmic whole. If we can judge the unknown by the known. Ready for the remix? It means that incarnating as each one of us is the divine. The concept of the divine spark is linguistic convenience. Each one of us is not only the living spirit that is the cosmos itself, incarnating in, through, and as us, but because this is what it is, each one of us is a unique presentation or representation of the cosmic whole. As a divine representation of the cosmic whole, how can you be a mistake? How can you be anything less than whole, perfect, and complete in your core essence? You can't. But our invitation is, once again, to know that, to live it, knowing that there will be times we are going to stumble. There are times when the skier falls, the ice skater falls, the gymnast falls. Do they stay on the ground and say, I am a failure? Play on words, failure, failure. I am a failure. I have fallen and I cannot get up. For my falling has demonstrated that this is what I am and what I must always be, a failure. Or once they fall, do they get back up? And when they get back up, do they never ski again? Do they never ice skate or roller skate again? Do they never? No. Unless something happened and they were injured to such a degree that they can't, everyone who has the capability to rise, rinse, and repeat. The gymnast does the floor exercise or the bars or whatever again. The dancer does the jump, spin, pirouette, and again. The skier again. No matter the agony of defeat. Again, I missed the again. I missed the goal again. I missed the strike three. You're out for right now. I will be up at bat again. The invitation. Rise, rinse, and repeat in a bold and perfectly imperfect way. Rise, rinse, and repeat. Our teaching is that we each actually have a body, that we actually have a subjective life, and that we actually are spirit. This is what the teaching of Science of Mind and Spirit is, according to Dr. Holmes. Body, soul, and spirit represent a point where individuality is accentuated in universality. We are forced to the conclusion that there is but one mind, one life. Each individual, however, is a unique variation in the universe and of the universe. No two people are alike, and yet all people are rooted in that which is the singular and identical to itself. Presence and power. So yes, we say things like, I have a spleen. I have veins, my veins, my muscles, my heart. We reference these things with ownership and possession of, yes. But what if I told you that all that you have and all that you use, your body, your bones, all of it, all that you have and all that you use is simply a demonstration of the infinite truth of your being that is extending and expressing, that is incarnating itself as the external, subjective, relative reality of your life. That everything that is our body, everything that we have and possess, and I mean everything, not even just our bodies, but I have a phone. This is a demonstration of the infinite truth of your being. God as an extension of you, my phone, my divinity expressing, because the phone also is God, so it is an extension. Like in martial arts, when we teach the bow staff or nunchaku or katana work or whatever it is, the weapon, the tool, the instrument is an extension of the martial artist. So whatever the martial artist is doing, the energy, the power, the technique, it moves through the implement. It's the exact same thing for your body temple. Because once again, while we are not the entirety of the cake, we are simply a slice. All that we are as that slice is all cake. All that we are, all of it, is a divine demonstration of God incarnating itself as each one of us. Now, the mental attitude of the practitioner is one of denial toward every false condition that opposes the principle of life. Let that sink in first before we continue. The mental attitude of the practitioner is one of denial, and they are denying every false condition that opposes the principle of life as being one of absolute perfection. The principle of life is the principle of absolute perfection. The practitioner, okay, follow the connection. God's world is perfect, and this is the principle that we are invited, or the principle that we as practitioners have to demonstrate. Demonstrate the principle that the world, God's world, is perfect. Demonstrate the principle that absolute perfection. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you, Dr. Holmes. I got you. We're still going to remix it though, but I got you. Now, The mental attitude, or more accurately, the mental equivalent of the practitioner, is both one of denial towards every false, non life affirming condition that opposes the principle of life as being one of absolute perfection. And the practitioner has a profound conviction to and declaration of life affirming truth. Pause, breathe. We deny what is false. That's not the truth. It may be a true or factual experience, but is it a demonstration of absolute truth? We deny what is false, what is error, what is non life affirming. We deny that. That doesn't have absolute power over who and what we are. Racism exists, but it does not have power over the who and what we are. We are the infinite, that which is absolute liberation and freedom. Period. That is what we declare with conviction. That is the life affirming truth that we stand rooted in. We deny the power of this, even though it is showing up in many people's experience. It is not a life affirming power that demonstrates the truth of their being. It is a non life affirming expression. We deny that. Rooted in conviction, we declare this. The remix goes on to say, that which God is perfect, is whole, and is complete, which means this world as an expression of God is also perfect, whole, and complete. Now, what the practitioner is to do is to act in a way that demonstrates their understanding of and the application of this truth, this spiritual principle. In other words, walk the walk. Do we understand it? Do we know it? Are we living it? Now, just in case you are new and this is your first Sunday here, I want to let you know what a mental equivalent is, since I mentioned it on the remix. Your mental equivalent equates to your thoughts, all of your words, all of your emotions, all of, and your actions, all of, right? So now when I say all of your thoughts, that includes all of your beliefs, your paradigms, your ideas, your imagination, and more. Your words, it's all of the ways in which you communicate, whether internally or externally. A text, a sign, body language, it's the way that you communicate. Your emotions and your feelings, everything that is felt, whether you expressed it or suppressed it. Your actions, all of your behaviors, your habits, your activities, it's all that we do. This is your mental equivalent. All four pillars. And for the sake of conversation, let's be reminded that those four pillars sit on top of the ways in which we have been indoctrinated or enculturated, the things that have been ingrained into us, the way we have been domesticated. So, because everybody has a mental equivalent. Now, the idea is, how do we, once we recognize it, how do we shift it so that the foundation that the pillars sit on is more life affirming? And then the pillars themselves are more life affirming. And then they then purport the way in which we experience our experiences in more life affirming ways. Just wanted to make sure you knew and was clear on what I meant by that. Eugene Kennedy says, there would be, I'm going to let you know up front, I really don't like this quote, but there would be no need for love if perfection were possible. Love arises from our imperfection, from our being different, and always in need of the forgiveness, the encouragement, and that missing half of ourselves that we are searching for, just as the Greek myth tells us. And we do so in order to complete ourselves. Any of you who have known me for any length of time, you already know why I don't necessarily like this quote. I understand what they're saying, but you got it. So let's remix it. Is there a need for you to be human? Or is it what you are and you have the opportunity to connect to that and to express your humanity? We simply start with that question. Is there a need for you to be human? Or is it simply what you already are? And because it's what you already are, you ask, am I aware that it's what I am? If I am aware that it's what I am, how do I connect to and how do I express that? And if I am not aware, then what is it that I am aware of that I am connecting to and expressing? Love is the perfection, the wholeness, and the completeness of all that God, Source, Spirit, the universe is. Love arises because it is life living itself as you. Love arises from our being, just as a song arises for the singer, the dance for the dancer, a meal for the cook, a painting for the painter, and inspiration for the inspired. It rises because it is what we are. There is no way to love because love is the way. And because love is the way, you are already complete. The love, that which love is, that which spirit is, that which source is all that you are. It is the way. As they say in The Mandalorians say, this is the way. When we truly study, practice, and embody the science of mind and spirit as a way of life, we recognize the mistakes we make as evidence. The mistakes that we make, they are evidence of our living life. The artist makes mistakes when drawing or painting. The dancer makes mistakes when learning new choreography. The chess player makes mistakes by taking moves and not anticipating what the other player's move will be. And the actor on set makes mistakes, and those mistakes become retakes. Take 439. They are opportunities to improve the craft, opportunities to improve our lives. Making mistakes is not a quantifier or qualifier of the divine that we are. No matter the mistakes, we are whole, perfect, and complete, no matter what. We are whole, we are perfect, and we are complete, no matter what. We are whole incarnations of God. We are perfect incarnations of God. We are complete incarnations of God, no matter what. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, say it with me the second time around. I embrace imperfections and discover profound possibilities and capabilities. Together. I embrace imperfections and discover profound possibilities and capabilities. This is the way. And so it is. This week's questions for the Thursday night study group and for your own personal journal practice. Number one, how might embracing imperfection change your experience of yourself and of your life? Number two, what is one thing about yourself that you see as a flaw that you know others actually admire about you? About a shift in perspective. Number three, what is one way that you can intentionally choose to embrace an imperfection in yourself and to see it as divinely perfect? And lastly, what does this quote by an anonymous individual invite you to contemplate and do? They say, the only people who make no mistakes are the people who do nothing at all. And in doing nothing, in order to avoid making mistakes, they are perhaps making the biggest mistake of all. Breathe. Entering into that space of absolute perfection, that space of our absolute wholeness, that space of our absolute completeness, that space of truth that we call prayer. This space is the way in which we live our lives. This space is the way we show up. This space is the way we demonstrate our amen. This space, the way we demonstrate our mental equivalence. This space, the way we engage in relationship. This space, the way we forgive, the way we nurture, the way that we love. This space, the way that we heal, the way that we transform, transcend. This space, this divine and holy space that is right where we are, this space that we can never be out of. This space, the space of God, the space of the one mind, the space of the one life, the space of the infinite. This space, the all that is, the ever was and ever will be. This space. As we say, there is not a spot, there is not a space, there is not a spot where God is not. There's not a space where God is not showing up as your faith, as their faith, as the faith that it is, as that tree, that blade of grass, that plate, that bicycle, that cloud, that rainbow. All of it is the very face of God showing itself, saying namaste to itself. I see and recognize the beautiful colors that I am as you, and you are reflecting back to me. This space, the divine space of the Holy of Holies, right where each person is right now. As Meister Eckhart says, between me and God, there is no between. Right where I am, this space, God is, love is. And the law, acting upon this truth, this mental equivalent, the law says yes. The law says amen. The law touches and agrees and does what it does to manifest accordingly in this space. And knowing that it does so, I know that we live our amen. We live as in and through that which is answered prayer. We are the very demonstration of the and so it is in this space. Moment by moment, thought by thought, word by word, feeling by feeling, and one action by action by action. This space, the very incarnation of God is, and it is wholeness, perfection, and completeness. And it is incarnating in, through, and as all of us, right here and right now. That's what is so. And so it is. So it is. Blessings, joy, and gratitude. I know. Last week I said we were meeting in the fellowship and it wasn't last. I know. I made a mistake. Nonetheless, I nonetheless, as the slide earlier said, I will see you in the Zoom fellowship hall today if you are joining us. Much love and appreciation.